Welcome to Chapter 12 in the Emperor's Courtesan, Book 1 in the Valsper Legacy series, written by me, Allison. If you are new to the channel or are just stumbling on this video by chance, I highly recommend checking out the other videos in the playlist so you actually know what's going on, or you can check out the blog below to catch up on all the blog posts. And so we begin. Chapter 12, Karis. Karis listened as Otto, the Minister of the Exchequer, droned on about taxes. He'd been going on about them for the past hour, and Karis was bored. He was serving as his father's proxy on the council while his father was out inspecting the mining operations on Gothatoon as part of his tour of all the current mining operations. "Excuse me, Minister, but you are repeating yourself," Karis commented as the man said something that sounded exactly like what he'd said half an hour earlier. "I am?" Otto looked startled. Karis couldn't tell if he was surprised Karis had noticed or if he truly hadn't realized he was repeating himself. "Forgive me, Your Imperial Highness. I was not aware of that fact. Perhaps if you got to the point, His Imperial Highness might not be so quick to notice when you are repeating yourself." Voska smiled wryly. "The truth of the matter is, Your Imperial Highness, we are going to need to increase tax revenue from the colonies if we wish to proceed with..." Otto began to sum up his long-winded speech. Karis put his hand up. "I can tell you right now my father will not agree to such a thing. It is in the ordinances that created the colonies in the first place that their taxes would remain at 15% of their gross planetary production, and he will not go back and change that. It would violate too many oaths given to the colonies. But Your Imperial Highness, there are planets in the core systems that are paying upwards of 25% of their GPP in taxes," Otto pointed out. "Yes, and those worlds can afford it. The colonies cannot." Karis considered the man with some disdain. He didn't care much for his father's counsel. "There are also worlds in the core systems that only pay 5 to 10% of their GPP in taxes. I notice you are not saying we should increase their taxes." "Your Imperial Highness, those are some of the poorest worlds," Otto began. "The Throne World is not one of the poorest worlds." Karis tapped the table for emphasis. "We only pay 5% of taxes on our GPP. My father and I have both long felt that the taxes on the Throne World should be increased to at least 10%. "Surely, Your Imperial Highness is joking." Hoven, second Minister of Transportation, stared at him in shock. "That would cause a riot here that would tear down the palace." "Not necessarily." Karis held up a hand. "If we increased it slowly, 1% a year for over 5 years, it'd be less of a burden." "Your Imperial Highness, you are young and experienced with the way taxes work," Voska began. "As I said, Lord Vosko..." Karis cut the man off. "This is my father's idea as much as it is mine. I was the one who came up with the plan to increase it over the 5 years. My father was of the mind to do it all at once." "Ah, was he, Your Imperial Majesty, Your Imperial Highness?" Vosko looked disturbed. "I expect when he returns he'll be implementing that." Karis nodded. "As well as increasing the taxes on a few other worlds in the core systems that are wealthy but pay low taxes." "They can afford it, gentlemen and ladies. The colonies cannot. We, of course, would advise His Imperial Majesty to use caution, but if that is what he wishes to do, we cannot argue with him." Maike, the Minister of Education, looked equally as disturbed. "You are quite right, Maike." Otto nodded. "We are here to present our Bureau's petitions only, and if His Imperial Majesty has made up his mind, we cannot change it." "Is there anything else we need to discuss?" Karis asked. "No, Your Imperial Highness." Zephram, third Minister of Transportation, glanced at his pad. "Nothing that cannot wait for His Imperial Majesty to return." Very well, Karis rose, and I say we adjourn the council until he returns. Yes, Your Imperial Highness. Fosco nodded his agreement. The ministers rose. Karis left the council chamber and headed to his rooms. Naren was waiting for him. Just because you're 19 and sitting in your father's place does not mean you get out of training, Your Imperial Highness. I just got done with the council trainer, Will, Karis sighed. Let me grab a bite to eat and I will be in the training room. Very good, I'll see you there. Naren headed off. Karis rang for his servant. Adam, have them bring me a light lunch. Do I have anything on my schedule this afternoon? Nothing, Your Imperial Highness. Adam looked at him curiously. It seems Trainer Will thinks I have been neglecting my training lately, so if anyone needs me, I am with her, he grimaced. It had been a while since he'd had a proper training session. She was going to grind him into the mats again. I'll make sure you're not bothered, Your Imperial Highness, Adam grinned. You know the rumors are going to start flying about you two again. Karis rolled his eyes and got ready to spar. Naren gave him time to run his laps and do his stretches before attacking him. Karis responded by defending himself, and the two settled into the comfortable rhythm of their usual sparring match. As they were in the middle of one of their matches, one of the Imperial guards walked in. Your Imperial Highness, we have news of your father. Naren stood up, as did Karis. What news? Is he back already? No, Your Imperial Majesty. The guard looked grim. Karis didn't miss the change in the way the guard addressed him. Imperial Majesty? Are you telling me my father is dead? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty, the guard confirmed. His ship exploded as he left Gothatoon this morning. The court was notified 2 hours ago. 2 hours? A sudden dread filled Karis. He sprinted past the guard and Naren for the Courtesan wing. The guards there didn't stop him as he burst through the door. Your Imperial Majesty, Walter bowed deeply. I am so very sorry for your loss. Is she gone already? Karis demanded. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Walter's voice broke. As soon as the news reached us of your father's death, the ladies all took their poison. I want to see her. Karis felt choked by a wave of grief. She is still in her room, Your Imperial Majesty. Walter gestured towards the familiar corridor. Karis walked slowly into the room that had been his mother's for as long as she'd been a courtesan in his father's court. Laying on her bed, pale and still, Kalia was dressed in one of her favorite day dresses. Karis stumbled over to the bed and dropped to his knees beside her. He took her hand in his and held it. I am sorry, Mother. His voice broke as he clung to the only person who'd ever loved him. Wish I could have changed this. He sat by her bedside for several minutes until Walter's assistant Arkan came in. Forgive me, Your Imperial Majesty. His tone was gentle. They are looking for you. Thank you, Arkan. Karis placed his mother's hand gently back on the bed. See to it that they are treated with respect when they are laid to rest. I will see to it personally, Your Imperial Majesty. Arkan hesitated for a moment. Lord Walter is taking their loss very deeply, and I think it would be a kindness if you retired him and let me take over the Courtesan wing. I will do that now. Karis got up and walked over to his mother's jewelry box. He took one of her favorite bracelets out and tucked it into his pocket before walking out into the common room. Walter, may I have a word with you? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty? Walter's voice sounded absolutely heartbroken. I think you have done all you can for these ladies. Karis laid a gentle hand on the aging eunuch's arm. I know this is very hard on you. Perhaps it is time, once you and Arkan have sent them on their final journey, for you to retire and let Arkan take over the Courtesan wing. Thank you, Your Imperial Majesty. Walter wiped his eyes. I would appreciate that very much. I have asked Arkan to see that they are treated well as they are sent on their final journey. I know you will help him perform this final service for them with all the grace and dignity these women had in life. Karis regarded the courtesan master with a great deal of empathy. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Walter looked at him with a painful expression. Arkan and I will see to it that they are treated very well even at the end. Thank you, Walter. Karis turned and walked out of the courtesan wing. Adam was waiting for him when he returned to his rooms. Your Imperial Majesty, the council is wanting a word with you. Karis pulled the bracelet out of his pocket and set it carefully on his table. See to it that is added to my jewelry collection. I do not care if people ask questions. It is my mother's, and I plan on keeping it to remember her by. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Adam tucked the bracelet immediately in with the rest of Karis's rather limited jewelry. Karis went to his closet and pulled out the one black outfit he'd had made. He'd never worn it, but he always kept one in case he ever needed it. It seemed he needed it now. Adam helped him dress, and then Karis left for the council chamber. All the ministers were dressed in black when Karis walked in. Your Imperial Majesty, Bosco bowed. We are sorry for your loss. Where have you been, Your Imperial Majesty? Wieland, the First Minister of Transportation, asked, saying goodbye to my mother. Karis sat in his father's place at the head of the council. Now we are going to have to plan a state funeral for my father and then my coronation. I also want a full investigation made into the explosion. I want to know what caused it. Your Imperial Majesty, accidents do happen, Bosco began. Not on ships as well cared for as my father's was. Karis glared at the man. I will have a full investigation of the explosion. I want the wreckage taken to the nearest shipyard. I'll be sending one of our best investigative teams to go over it as soon as possible. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Bosco did not look pleased. I trust all of you ladies and gentlemen will enjoy your retirement. Karis was going to be very glad to be rid of all of them. I will have to give some thought to your replacements. Your Imperial Majesty, you will have enough to do with the investigation and the coronation, Bosco put in quickly. Why not keep us in place for a few months until you are settled? Then you can focus on replacing us. Karis hesitated. It was true there was quite a bit he had to do. It was only a temporary respite, Bosco. I will be replacing all of you in a few months, but you do have a point. I have a great many things to do and not enough time to sort out your replacements at the moment. We understand perfectly, Your Imperial Majesty. A small triumphant smile hovered around the corners of Bosco's mouth. Karis regarded the council solemnly. We need to arrange a state funeral for my father and then my official coronation. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Might I suggest a galactic week of mourning for your father? Bosco looked around the table and the other ministers nodded their agreement. I do not think he is that popular, Bosco. Karis shook his head, but I suppose it is traditional for the death of an emperor to provide such a time frame for mourning. I am making sure employers know they are to give that week off paid. There are too many people operating on the edge of catastrophe in this galaxy as it is without losing a week of pay to mourn a man the vast majority knew nothing about other than the occasional image on the holo. A most generous plan, Your Imperial Majesty. Otto nodded approvingly. It is practical because I do not want them calling on Imperial storehouses for food for that week. Karis knew how badly that would overburden the system, and he wasn't willing to start his reign with that much of a deficit. Eminently sensible, Your Imperial Majesty. Rima, the Minister of Social Services, looked relieved. Now, as for the coronation, I know we will need a high feast and several entertainments arranged. Ananya, I trust I can leave the planning of that in your hands? He turned to the Minister of Public Affairs, and she nodded. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty, I can arrange for that easily. She seemed more subdued than usual, but then his father had just died, and she was one of his oldest ministers next to Bosco. She'd served him the longest, so it was only reasonable for her to be withdrawn. You should arrange a galactic day of celebration for your coronation, Your Imperial Majesty, Wieland. Told him. Perhaps to end the week of mourning? It's going to take more than a week to plan the coronation, Wieland. Vasco gave the man a withering look. Not to mention we need to invite the nobility from all the worlds for the event, and it is going to take them time to get here. You know that not everyone is at court right now. True. Wieland waved his hand. I had forgotten that fact. If we set it for a month from now, it gives us time to plan a full celebration and get word out to the nobility all across the empire. Maike looked up from her pad where she'd been checking something. 2 months would be better, Zephyr commented. We have nobility that has to come a fair distance to reach the throne world. 2 months is a reasonable time. Fosco looked at the rest of the ministers. His Imperial Majesty will have plenty of time to prepare for his coronation, as well as deal with the investigation into his father's death. If you say so, Fosco. Maike didn't look pleased about something. Then it is settled. We will start the official week of mourning with my father's memorial service, which will be broadcast to the entire galaxy. Karis hesitated. I expect there is nothing left of my father to be buried in the crypt? Most likely not, Your Imperial Majesty. Even Fosco looked a little green at that. Then in 3 days we will hold the official funeral and start the week of mourning. I will have the decree broadcast tomorrow morning. Karis felt that should give him enough time to sort some things out. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty, the minister said. Then we are adjourned. Karis rose. He returned to his chambers to find servants moving things out. Adam stood there supervising everything. You are being moved to the Imperial suite, Your Imperial Majesty. You will be assigned a personal valet to assist you at that time. You will no longer be my servant? Karis asked. I'll be heading your personal servants, Adam grinned. You're not getting rid of me that easily, Your Imperial Majesty. I just won't be your primary aide from now on. At least I will have one familiar face, Karis sighed. He felt his grief over the loss of his mother rising to choke him. It'll be all right, Your Imperial Majesty. Adam could tell he was distressed. As Emperor, your life just gets a bit more complicated. It's more than a simple servant can handle, or so I was told. I'll find out when I'm assigned my valet, I suppose. Karis didn't want to change his rooms or his lifestyle. That was all part of being the Emperor, though, so he knew he had to do it. He made his way to the Imperial suite and walked inside. A rail-thin young man was organizing the disposition of Karis's belongings. Your Imperial Majesty, he bowed. I am Imri, your new valet. I am pleased to serve you. Hello, Imri. I trust everything is in order? Another wave of grief threatened to overwhelm Karis, and he fought it back. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Imri paused. I did have a question for you, Your Imperial Majesty. There is a woman's bracelet in among your jewelry. Did you wish me to dispose of it for you? That bracelet stays exactly where it is. Karis's temper flared, and he let some of it show. That was my mother's, and it is the only thing of hers that I have to remember her by. I do not want anything to happen to it. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Imri didn't seem ruffled by his outburst at all. I shall leave it where it is, then. I also noticed there is a vibroblade in your belongings. Do you wish me to give that to your guards? No, that is my second blade. I should be wearing it, but I neglected to put it on this morning. Trainer Wool took me to task for that this afternoon when we were training together. Karis's temper cooled immediately. Usually I always carry 2 vibroblades on me for protection, as did my father, though his did him no good in the end. I see. Very well, then. I won't remove the vibroblades when I see them. Your wardrobe, Your Imperial Majesty, is very simple. Would you like me to have me have something more ornate designed? Imri looked at him expectantly. No, Imri. While I do understand that as the Emperor my wardrobe must always be in style, that is as far as I am willing to go. My father did not see fit to alter the fashion maven's designs. Neither do I. Karis was tired, and he just wanted to be left alone. Your father, Your Imperial Majesty, had been Emperor for a good many years. Imri looked at him with a concerned expression on his face. Perhaps he didn't feel the need to show his rank? But you are new to your position and should showcase that you have power by wearing more powerful clothing. Karis sighed. Powerful clothing will do nothing to enhance my authority, Imri. In fact, it will make me look weaker. Keep me in fashion, that is it. I would appreciate it if you could have a few more black outfits made up for me in the current style, however. I only have this one, and I cannot very well wear the same one every day. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty, Imri nodded. I would recommend, however, something a little finer for fabric. Very well, Imri. Karis decided to let his valet have this one. I will let you argue with the stylist over the fabric. Nothing that glitters, though. I am not partial to flashing in the light. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty, Imri assured him. Once everything was organized to Imri's satisfaction, he dismissed the servants. Karis looked at the young man. I think I would like to be left alone for a little while, Imri. Can you please see to it that I am not disturbed unless it is something urgent? I have a decree to write, and I would like some privacy to do that. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Imri collected the last empty box. I will leave word with your guards that unless it's urgent, you're not to be disturbed. Will you be taking dinner with the court this evening, or would you prefer a private meal? I think I will skip dinner tonight, Emery. I have no appetite right now. If I decide I am hungry, I will send for a light snack later. Karis really wasn't that hungry. His stomach was in knots, and he didn't feel like food would be a good idea. Very well, Your Imperial Majesty. If you need anything, please call me back and I will assist you. You can call for me by pressing that button there. Emery pointed to a green button on the panel of buttons on the wall. Thank you, Emery. Emery bowed and took himself out. Karis sat on the couch with his pad but didn't immediately start writing the decree. The tears he'd held back while dealing with the council escaped. He curled up on the couch and buried his face in the cushions, just as he had when he was a child in the courtesan wing. Though losing his father was a blow, it wasn't him he was crying for. It was his mother, and that damnable suicide law that made it so all courtesans had to follow their emperor in death that Karis mourned for now. He sobbed until he could cry no more. He got up and went into the bathroom. He splashed water on his face to wash away the tears. He went to the pitcher in his room and poured himself a glass of wine. He took a sip and sat down again. His throat was raw and the wine burned going down. Picking up the pad, he wrote out the decree. It took him several hours to get the wording to his satisfaction. It didn't help that he still had a seething hatred for his father, and he didn't think anyone should mourn him. But people had respected his father. They hadn't seen the side of him that Karis had. They didn't know how cruel he truly was. Karis keyed it into the public announcement system under the Imperial seal and cued it to go out first thing in the morning on all worlds in the Empire. Karis rang for one of his servants. Adam appeared with a grin. I'm not letting anyone else answer unless I'm busy, he said at Karis's raised eyebrow. I appreciate it. Karis rubbed his forehead. Can you send to the kitchen? I skipped dinner and I thought I would not be hungry, but I am a little. I need a light snack. Nothing heavy, not a meal, just a light snack. I'll send to the kitchen right away, Your Imperial Majesty. Adam disappeared out the door. Karis picked up his pad and looked over the documents, waiting for his approval. He knew his father often worked late into the night and saw immediately why. There were several documents waiting. Karis reviewed them all and signed off on the ones he agreed with. He sent the rest back to their various authors, detailing why he wasn't going to accept them. Adam returned a short while later with a light snack. Karis ate and finished up the documents. He then called for Emery. His valet returned a few minutes later. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty? He asked. It is quite late and I am ready to head to bed, Karis yawned. Of course, Your Imperial Majesty. Emery called for Adam and they helped Karis change into his sleep suit, and then Emery turned off all the lights in the rooms, making sure that everything was taken care of for Karis as he went to bed. Thus ends Chapter 12 of The Emperor's Courtesan. If you are enjoying the story, I hope you will hit that like and subscribe button. I also hope you will check out the blog where I am also posting the chapters. If you want to help financially support the story, there is the Ko-Fi link in the description. Always appreciated, never required. Links to all my other socials and my gaming YouTube are also in the description. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your support. Thank you and have a wonderful day.